Hey, good morning, everybody. It's BDF44 coming at you with another video. Okay, so this is the last day I'm going to spend in the house dealing with this back injury. I'm almost 100%. I can feel it. So, we're almost there. We're almost there. I'm good for the most part. But I wanted to make a video because it's about an hour and a half away from tip off, maybe 2 hours away from tip off, roughly something like that. And yeah, game one of the Phoenix Lakers series is upon us. And my prediction's already set in stone. I think the Lakers are going to win this series in about 6 games. And my prediction is that the Lakers are going to have a slow start. We do start on the road. We definitely do not have home court advantage, obviously, with the Phoenix Suns being the 2nd seed and we being the 7th seed, respectively. And we're going to be in a position today to really show what our size is about. You know what I mean? That's what the position we're in is going to allow us to do. The fact of the matter is they have DeAndre Ayton, but their power forward position, they got some guys playing that position that it might be a little undersized. I respect the heck out of Jay Crowder, especially in the playoffs. He's somebody that has proven he knows what he's doing. He's somebody who's played in big moments, somebody who's played with LeBron James, who knows his game. I expect Jay Crowder's DNA to be all over this series. Okay? But you start looking at the rest of their players at that position. You got the Smith kid, who's a rookie, who's dealing with injury this year. He hasn't even had as much as a breakout game, even though I look at his metrics and his body and I say, yo, that's somebody who's going to be a problem someday. Does it translate to basketball? I believe it will. We'll see. But as of right now, he's a power forward on their roster that probably isn't going to play. You got guys like, if I'm not mistaken, what's his name? Frank Kaminsky, if I'm not mistaken, is with the Suns. I like that dynamic. He's a player who can stretch the floor. I do not know what his status is. I have not paid as much attention to the Suns as I'd like to. But when you think about players that can help them in this series, Frank Kaminsky coming off the bench, shooting threes, stretching the floor, especially if we're going to throw guys like Drummond on the floor. If we're going to throw guys out there like him out there, they don't have an answer for him if Ayton's sitting. Especially since they have to deal with guys like AD, Bron, Kuzma, all these different big bodies. So the best thing for them to probably do is put players on the floor that can stretch the floor. That's what I would do. Don't try to match up size with the Lakers. You're wasting your time. What you want to do is try to force us into small ball situations. You probably punt the rebounding position. I don't think they can rebound over us. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see anything on paper that shows me they're going to have success rebounding over us. So we're probably going to control the glass, and as a result, we're probably going to control the game. I think the only thing that scares me and what makes me think we'll get off to a slow start is the fact that the Lakers have had games where they've missed players recently, and because of it, they have not had the cohesiveness and the time playing with one another that you would want to have going into this series. That's the only reason why I think the Lakers are going to have a slow start, or why I would predict such a thing. It's not because I think the Suns are anywhere near better than the Lakers, because I do not believe that. I just look at the situation. I say the Suns have been together, healthy, running their stuff as a unit for the past several months. They haven't had really some of the issues that some of the other teams have had. So they should be sharp going into these playoffs. Even though they have some inexperienced issues, they do have players like Crowder, players like Chris Paul, obviously, guy like Dario Saric, who's kind of been in these situations, who kind of understands the importance of a big moment and making sure that they do exactly what they have to do to match the intensity of whatever team's on the other end of it. So that's why I would say that Phoenix, to me, is in a prime position to steal one from us early, especially being that it's on their home floor. So I got Phoenix winning this game. Ooh, that hurt a little bit. That's why I'm not going to work. See, had them little moments, spasms. That is why I got the Phoenix Suns probably starting off fast and the Lakers starting off slow for that reason alone. So, if anything, I'm looking at this series and I'm just saying, well, it has a possibility of going a lot of different ways. But in my mind, every outcome has the Lakers winning it. They all do. And it just really does come down to the size differential. And I like the idea, even though I don't think that they're going to have ridiculous amounts of success. Please don't misconstrue what I'm saying. I like the idea that we got a guy like Alex Caruso, a guy like KCP, a guy like Wesley Matthews, and even to an extent THT. I like that we have those guys on the floor to throw at the superstars that are Chris Paul and Devin Booker. Because what you want is not to be able to stop them necessarily. You don't have that on your roster to stop those guys. But what you do want is sound defensive players and a sound defensive scheme that they have to think about. That's what you want. And that's what you want going up against any tandem of young guards in these playoffs if you're the Lakers. You just want to make sure that you throw those KCPs and those Carusos at them enough to hound them, to frustrate them. You throw your Wesley Matthews at them to have just to flop on the floor, to draw some fouls that they're not going to appreciate. That's the type of stuff that can bring the morale down and sway the momentum your way. So for me, yeah, do we have the most talented players on the floor as guards? Not at all. But what we do have is defensive-minded guards who are scrappy, who are going to put themselves in positions to get underneath these guys, to be, not cheating around screens, putting their body on people, flopping, as I said once again. Those are the type of things that we need done. Because Devin Booker and Chris Paul, if we don't throw antics at them and tactics at them, they're going to pick us apart. They're going to win the games off the strength of their greatness themselves. They're going to pull off a game at least where both of them go off for 30 and make life very difficult for us. I expect it. I don't think you're going to get 4 of those, and which is what is required for them to win the series. But you're going to get 1 or 2. Where you're going to say, okay, Chris Paul just hit us with 30-15. Devin Booker just hit us with 40. Like, I expect something like that to happen in this series. And remember, Devin Booker has, if I'm not mistaken, he's never played in the playoffs. If he has played in the playoffs, it was very short-lived. But I don't think he's ever been there. It's time for him to show us what he's always been capable of, which is obviously what he did in Boston, 72 points, 73 points. He's capable of crazy, crazy stuff that some of our very favorite scorers have not done. Your KD, he hasn't done that. Okay? The great King, he ain't did that. Think about some of these other great scorers, even some of the minds that come to mind of eras past, like Carmelo Anthony. You know what I mean? Great, great scorers. Steph Curry. Random guys. T-Mac, one of our favorite scorers in this world. All the scorers that have come along in the world. Only guy that has the numbers comparable are guys that aren't with us anymore. Honestly. Think about it. Who are the guys that scored that much? You got Elgin Baylor, rest in peace. Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. Wilt Chamberlain, rest in peace. Those are the people who have scored up there with Devin Booker. That's the list. So when we talk about what he's capable of doing, yeah, he's done it already. At some point in time, this young player, who isn't even 25 yet, is going to tap in to whatever that was we saw in Boston several years ago and do it again. What I'm hopeful for is that he doesn't choose this series to do it. So that's what I got, man. Keep a close eye on DeAndre Ayton once again. DeAndre Ayton is going to have a tough series, in my opinion, because even though he's a very talented young big who's probably the future in this league, unfortunately, he's going up against big bodies, and those big bodies should, in theory, keep him in foul trouble, should, in theory, frustrate him some, should, in theory, bring his rebounding average down. So, it's all about what the schemes the coach runs out there. You know how basketball can go. Maybe we decide to run small ball lineups, and then suddenly that's negated. So it's all about what we ultimately see from the coaches. But when you look at the rosters themselves, what you should see is what I'm describing, in my opinion. I just think that they're lacking in a lot of size. Their strengths are things that we can defend, even though not effectively defend. We have defenders in those areas that they have of strength. And ultimately, it shouldn't be an issue for us to walk out of here with a series win, so long as we just stay healthy. And that will be the story with the Lakers in every series, not just this one. If they happen to get past Phoenix, when we run into whoever's next, it'll all be about health. If we get past them, whoever we run into next, it'll be about health. In the finals, if we happen to get that far, whoever we run into there, it'll be about health. Literally. Because even against the Nets, I feel like the Lakers have enough talent to stretch it out to a 7-game series as to which anything could happen. Like, I believe that. I don't think the Nets walk into the series with us, especially seeing how they went up against Boston yesterday. If the Nets are going to not play great throughout the playoffs, they're going to lose some games themselves. They just don't have enough talent in other areas outside of those three, in my opinion. So, even though I don't want to get into a Nets tangent, if we happen to see them, it's still about health, in my opinion. So, healthy AD, healthy Bron James, NBA champions. Not healthy. Nets win it in my opinion. But that's what I got, man. Go Lakers. I feel like Steve Nash, Mike D'Antoni, Amari Stoudemire, Channing Frye, Leandro Barbosa. Thinking about those Suns team, I just feel like they should be mentioned for some reason. I just got a feeling that this video would be disrespectful if I didn't mention the Suns team that was last dominant in the playoffs, who beat my Kobe Lakers in 6. They really just made fun of us. They beat us bad. We were up in the series and lost it. And I just remember how much anger they put in my heart as a young Laker fan back then. So now that we're seeing them again in the playoffs, I definitely want to mention their names. They did their job. 7 seconds or less was a headache. So anyway, that's what I got, man. Shout out to everybody in Phoenix. Shout out to all my Laker fans. Thank you. Shout out to you. BDF here. Peace.